welcome back to What's Next Wall Street. I am Georgia Alfredas.
And I'm still a sick Dave Mathews, but this is the show where we're going to power through for you. It's where finance meets technology, AI, and consumer trends, all with a little side of fun. Where's that fun, Georgia?
It's not in your voice, dude.
Oh,
what in the
it's
world?
not. That's true.
I actually like it. So listen, you got questions or you just want to say hi? Hit us up on WNWS@gmail.com, or you can follow us at What's Next Wall Street. And do not miss out. Catch all the fun, as we just said, on our YouTube channel at WNW Show. You know the drill. Subscribe, tap the bell, and you never miss an update.
Well, the young and rich folks are ditching California for sunnier vibes in Florida and Texas. Wait, isn't this a COVID story? According to a smart ass set study. Georgia, did you write that? That's funny.
Not at all.
The two states of Texas and Florida are again drawing in more wealthy 20 and 30 somethings, those earning $200,000 a year, by the way, faster than anyone else, like more than double the numbers of other states. Florida snagged nearly 1,800 of these young moneymaker whippersnappers, and Texas is close behind at 1,660. What's the appeal, you ask? Think about this. No state income tax, job opportunities, and lifestyle upgrades like no fog for 9 cents of the year. By the way, in LA, they have fog. They just renamed it to be marine layer, but they're not confusing anybody. Everybody knows it's still fog.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Meanwhile, California with the fog and marine layer is losing out big time with over 3,000 of those high-earning young people packing up and moving out. Even Gen Z and millennials are flocking to warm spots like Tampa, Vegas, and Austin, with Texas becoming the hottest new Gen Z hub.
I get it, because listen, you got a 3-bedroom in California that's costing you $1 million, and you got like a huge big house in Texas with a pool in the back and a gated community for $1 million. So what are we doing here? Meanwhile, the housing market took another L.
Hold on, you said 3-bedroom in California for $1 million. It's a 1-bedroom in California for $1 million.
That's so sad. That's so sad.
So sad.
You can buy a 3-bedroom in Texas really for like $200,000, like right on the outskirts of Dallas. Like you can literally get to Dallas in 30 minutes and have a bad crib for like, $350. Honestly, it's insane. Why would you live someplace else? But I mean, I'm biased. Anyway, the housing market took another L in July while new home construction dropped nearly 7%. The latest government data shows the annual rate now hovers just above 1.2 million units. Permits for new homes also dipped by 4%. High prices and steep mortgage rates are scaring off a lot of folks, except Californians, from building their dream homes. 8.5% of all U.S. homes are now valued at $1 million or more. So that's what it is.
Wow, that's impressive. Hey, another home thing that's trending is blurring your home on Google Maps with concerns about privacy and security. More people are opting to hide their homes from prying eyes. It's easy.
How do I do it?
Yeah, here's what you do. You jump on Google in the Street View, report a problem, and then request Google to blur it out. So like the report a problem is how you get their attention.
Okay.
And then how long it takes, though, that's still up in the air. We don't know that. But as this show airs, I'm out at Blurring Man, and oh man, am I having our fun time at our piano bar at Center Camp.
Hilarious. Okay, so AI might be the future, but big companies are feeling some type of way about it. Like I've been yelling the sky is falling for like 3 years now. According to a new survey, more than half of America's top businesses see AI as a possible threat to their operations. Now, that's a big jump from last year when it was only 9% that felt that way. Still, about 1 in 3 companies are also eyeing AI as a major opportunity. So I guess it's a love-hate relationship, I don't know.
Yeah, look, I've got my backup plan. Since I have skills like being able to fix things, I think I'm going to get like a big truck, maybe an off-roading thing that I could disappear in the woods. I'm going to put a welder on it. I'm going to put Starlink on it because pretty sure Elon's going to keep that going because of his ego. Yeah. And then I'm just going to like offer welding or do mechanical stuff, fix a fence or fix a car.
That's the stuff that AI can't do. My dad was a welder. He was in the union and all the things. That was his thing. And that's the thing. AI can't really fix your pipes. They can't fix your car.
Oh, that's right. Plumbing. Yeah, it could be I could start working on my plumber crack.
See? No, crack is whack, dude.
Crack is whack. All right,
Okay.
Disney, Fox, and Warner Brothers plus Discovery are getting ready to drop a new sports streaming bundle,
Talked
but a
about
federal
that. Good.
judge just hit pause. What?
Oh. Mm.
Streaming rival Fubo sued, saying this new bundle called Venue would jack up
Mm.
prices for consumers. Wait, I thought competition brought prices down. The
Well,
package was supposed to launch this fall for $42 a month, offering channels like ABC, ESPN, Fox, and more. Stay tuned. This bundle drum is just heating up right in time for the summer, end of summer and fall back to football
right.
season.
Are you
But it's
ready for some
amazing.
football?
It's amazing what these brands like NFL gets for the sports programming that's an add-on.
Yeah.
I don't do sports. I do car racing and stuff. So I guess that's a
Which is a
version of a
sport.
sport. That's
Yeah.
true. But man, it's like I can imagine having an extra $100-something added on top of my already near zero streaming plan. And even I saw this Amazon Prime's now, we talked about this on a prior show, charging for Prime Video. That used to be included into the Amazon Prime fee itself. So
Oh, it's
everybody's trying to get
crazy.
more money.
It drives me crazy. I have everything that I need, and then my kid's like, "Mom, I want to watch Time Bandit. Can we have Apple TV too?" And I'm like, "Dude, I already have. I have all these channels, really, just for him because I'd rather read a good book."
Yeah.
But you know what? Time Bandits, you probably wouldn't like it because it's really kind of a kid show, but it's such an awesome kid show, and it's an Apple original, but it's like history. And these time
Ooh.
bandits, yeah, they travel to different places in history. And I'm like, Blake, that's Mansa Musa. That's the Trojan horse. And it's kind of a cool way to teach kids about history, but it's not teachy. So anyway, if you got kids or if you even just like history, like I'm loving it because I'm a big kid. Anyway,
Nice.
moving right along, I got the pro tip. Today's pro tip is brought to you by optionsplayers.com. Top traders know that discipline is key. Start your day by jotting down your goals and your tasks, then crush them with laser focus. This keeps you on point and locked in on your trading strategy. Remember, the little things you do daily add up to major wins in the long run.
Well, it's time for us to shine the spotlight on you. We love getting your questions and comments, so don't be shy. Reach out to us on the socials at What's Next Wall Street. Drop us a comment on YouTube. We love those, especially when you're just the tiniest bit snarky. That's on our YouTube channel at WNW Show on the YouTubes. Or you can send us an email with that same moniker, WNWShow at gmail.com. And we've got Jennifer from Lafayette. I knew a Jennifer from Lafayette once. That was my old high school.
Really?
I heard, she says, not my Jennifer, this other one. I heard the
Oh,
options players Moo deal. Is that a buy a trading platform, get a cow? And
right?
it's amazing. She goes, free options and a cash account allows us to day trade, and out each day is a platform. Is it reliable? Is it reputable? What does it mean using interactive broker? These are all brand new terms to me. So that can
Hello.
only mean one thing. We need to reach out to Greg. Greg, Moo, what is it?
That's that thing my great grandma used to wear. Real big, no?
Moo. And we're not talking about your grandma or your wife's nightwear, okay? We all know what a moo is. We're talking about the brokerage. All right, so I don't think you're asking me if it is reliable or replicable. All of them have to be reliable or they wouldn't be allowed on. But what does it mean by using IB brokerage? Well, there's a few ways you can use this, right? And you got to understand, not all these brokers are their actual own people executing their things. And most of these, what we call discount brokerages, are not. And Moo does it through IB or Interactive Broker. Now, Interactive Broker is extremely reliable worldwide. And besides in the United States, you know, IB is not always the biggest name, right? But everywhere else in the world it is, because all of our brokerage firms might not actually work in those other countries, and then they're usually very expensive. I don't want to say this because I don't really know, but I'm going to say it anyways. I thought Moo had really good rates for the Canadian individuals and stuff, and that was why we really went after it at Option Players. But I'm uncertain with that. All right. So I'm not going to throw that out there, but stop on by Option Players and ask Steve or someone or Trax, who's Canadian, if it's good there. And I think that's a huge one because Canadians pay a lot for their options trading on US markets. Okay. So if it does, that's a great point. I think that's why we did it. But what's it mean by using IB? It's exactly what it is. IB has IBKR Pro, which is what, if you have IB or something like that, that's what it's going through. You're paying for that. And then they have IB Lite. And IB Lite is normally what you would get with your discounted brokerage. Now, I don't want to sit here and try to bore you with the what's the difference between IB Pro and IB Lite. Just know that Moomoo uses IB, right? So it will be open, it will be working whenever IB is working. That's the biggest thing. There could be a glitch between something and IB or whatnot, but it's not going to go down because of this or this or this or this, all right? It will be, IB isn't going, it's extremely reliable, probably the most reliable there is. So that's what it is. Now, Moomoo could have some server side issue on their side that causes an issue, but that's normally not the problem. It's usually with the broker side. So with the IB Lite, you're getting a very reliable brokerage that executes your trades for you. But now, like I said, what does it really mean? Okay, I'm not going to try to explain what this is for a very long time. What's the difference between like IBKR Pro or IBKR Lite, or what that actually means, which is nothing more than your routing and payment of order flow. Okay, so when people pay to sell your stuff, yes, Moomoo will sell your order flow because all IBKR Lite does. What you need to do is just Google interactive brokerage, order routing, order flow disclosure, or interactive order routing disclosure. And you're going to get an SEC basically memorandum stating what exactly does ABR Pro and what ABR Lite is, what it actually has on it, and all its disclosures. And you'll see exactly the differences between the two and how well it is, or how good ABKR Lite is. Right. So that's it. I mean, I could give you a link to it, but if you just Google it, it'll pop up. They do one every year. It's an SEC requirement. That all brokerages have to do it. Right. So it's out there, and it's not like a really hard read. It will be very easy. It's not going to be something that you won't understand what they're talking about. Right. It's made for investors, for the retail investors, so they have to write it in plain. It's not going to be something like you read it and you think you're reading some, foreign language, because it's so crazy. It has to be in plain language. Right.
All right. Thank you for that, Greg. Okay, now you cleared a lot up, so we can move on to the next question. Gino from WNWS Show YouTube. Thank you, Gino, for watching. We appreciate you. Gino wants to know, when will Greg be doing a live market analysis again, and will you guys load it up to this YouTube channel? I don't know why we wouldn't, but let's find out from Greg.
When will I do another market analysis? I guess that is a good question. I don't know the answer. Is that a question to me, asking me when I want to do another one from the people in charge? I don't know. We could do one whenever, I guess. I don't have any scheduled right now, but with that being said, you can always come over. I'm always trading live Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Every day the market's open, basically, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Hop on over to Option Players and talk to any of the instructors, or just chat with the people. Yeah, and I guess you'll find out then.
All right, big shout out to Greg for today's answers. Thank you, Greg. If you have more questions, Greg's got you. Email him at greg@optionsplayers.com. And of course, stay connected with us on social media at What's Next Wall Street, or email us anytime at WNWshow@gmail.com.
All right, Georgia, I talked on a prior show about the time my identity was hacked and people went around to all the mall stores and got $1,000 in-store credit using my social security number, and they immediately purchased gift cards, which, by the way, is a total loophole in their system because it's easy to fraudulently sell those, which clothing would be a lot hard to fence. But hopefully that's stopped now. I haven't checked in because I have frozen my credit, which I recommend you do too. Best of all, I talked about what you could do back on that prior show if your social security number is compromised. But that if is now a win. Listen, if you applied for a job and gave out your social security number, then it has completely been shared over the internet by bad actors. This week, I'm bringing on Dan. How do you say his last name? Is it Mathews? Oh, Dan Mathews. That's right. My brother, to talk about how his company researched this latest trove of data on the internet, which exposes you and your loved ones and mine too. Dan, welcome to the show. And what's up with this compromised information? All right, Dan, there is a ton of data on the internet and information wants to be free. What if that information is my information?
That will be bad, but it's unstoppable.
What? What's happening now? What'd you guys do? What's your company? And what's out there?
Well, Constellar Intelligence has been out collecting data on the dark web for the last 10 years. We help consumer identity protection companies, so we're kind of a brand behind the brands. Companies like NortonLifeLock and 6 or 7 of the top 10 consumer ID protection companies use us to go out and hunt this data down and identify when consumers are affected. And then we notify the partner notifies the end consumer, and you can understand what the breach data is about you, whether it's between you and AT&T about 3 months ago or between you and this company, random company in National Public Data last week. We're seeing a lot more U.S. Social Security numbers as the type of data in the breaches. That's been the big change lately. In the past 10 years, we've had small amounts of occurrences of socials, but now that's going on the rise. So there's a lot of concern about various types of identity theft as a result of these new breaches.
Yeah, and if you go get a postpaid card, nowadays, the last 4 years or so, I've been using prepaid cards where they don't do this, or prepaid phones, which I guess prepaid card is about the same. You don't need your social security number. Your social security number is tied to any check of identity with the job, and that's the latest hit,
job,
right?
Credit, phones not in the U.S., but Spain, several countries in Europe do require national ID for getting a telephone. And breaches aren't just a U.S. problem; they're a global problem.
Oh, that's a good point. But only America has a social security number. The other ones use what? You said a national ID?
It's the same thing. It's a tax ID for each country. So everybody has one. It's just they call it different things in various geographies.
And what did you guys find out about this latest data breach?
Lots. We've been collecting data for 10 years. We've got over 200 billion records or identity records in our lake. So, only a small percentage of the SSNs exposed include those assigned with the last 20 years. But people that were born in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s were the peak of that bell curve. So there's a lot of people affected by this breach overall.
Interesting. And then you guys are slicing and dicing the data to see if the people are even alive as well. Is there a large percentage that are over 100 years old or something?
Yeah, not a large percentage, but they're about out of the 170 million affected or 130 million affected people, or about 3.5 million people were of the questionable age of being alive still. Some might still be, but people born in 1900, not likely. People born in 1930s, sort of. Again, but we've got a few million people in that curve from 1900 through 1930s and people in the 30s are still alive. So
the oldest woman just died at 117 years last week. So I guess your database might have more people than you think that are still good.
Sure.
So,
we're making assumptions, but yes.
So you're saying this is relatively new data. You said codes that were released in the last 20 years, or are you saying if you're born in the 70s, you need to pony up your and put a freeze on your credit?
Yeah, if you're at the peak of the curve, which is the people from like the 40s to the 70s, the last 20 years of folks aren't as affected by this breach.
That's interesting because you'd think with the latest database, which was on job hiring, right? You'd think that was a kind of a peak thing.
Well, that's the database we're talking about. So this company, National Public Data, that's the data we're talking about. So we found that the dates of birth across those 200 million records, 270 million records, hit a bell curve in a really strange way. So I'm not sure where they got their data from. the quality of data was very suspect overall. But again,
Well, it's on the dark web. Of course, it's suspect. Dark web data is not going to be the best data.
This is true. Well, again, we saw that for people. We actually did a data quality analysis as well on top of that. So for people that were born in the 90s, the quality of the data was better. So as we kind of roll backwards towards the people born in the earlier years, earlier decades, I should say, it's kind of funny that we had like a 90% accuracy of the profiles for people in the 1990s. So while it was a smaller overall population, those that were collected had a higher accuracy rating of the overall data in the record. Back in the 1980s birth years, about 73% accuracy. Back in the 70s birth years, 58% accuracy. So as you go further back in time, the quality of that data they've been collecting is suspect. And again, it's hard to maintain a profile on somebody over dozens and dozens of years.
Yeah, and you said even with some of my data that was compromised, it was addresses that I had back from 2004, 2005.
Exactly. Yep. So they lost a trace of you since 2004, 2005. And again,
good.
they're not transparent about what their collection sources are. We don't talk about that.
Yeah. So this is interesting. So you guys are, if I see, the 1-800-LifeLock or something like that, they subscribe to your data. You get your data from wherever you scrape it out of the dark holes of the belly buttons full of lint of the internet, and then provide them. So you have to do constant cleanups of your data, and you also have to say like, oh, here's the diffs. Here's what we're seeing between current and prior state.
Yeah, well, it's important that our customers don't wrongly implicate AT&T if they had a breach, and that can cause some liability from their side. So we do a pretty stringent screening process of the data. Anything we collect, because we have such a massive data lake of other data that's just like this data, we can collide the data together and say, okay, we've got 10 million new records or 100 million new records. Compare those 100 million with 200 billion existing records. Which data sets does this new data set look most like? Is it fabricated? Is it new? How many email addresses actually match up with emails we already have? So we're able to do a lot of really cool things with data because we have so much data in the lake already. And again, I guess the biggest thing is consumer takeaway here. Like you said previously, freeze your credit. The credit bureaus are required to allow you to get free credit reports. A year ago, they changed the rules. I didn't realize this until recently. Now you can request it on a monthly basis. Before it was once a year. Now you can request from all three credit bureaus your credit report once a month. That's another cool thing.
Wow, I didn't know that either when I did my segment on this.
The last point to make was Social Security Administration. If you're filing tax returns, you can create your own email account for you with links to your social at the Social Security Administration. I think they just rolled over and started using the ID.me service to do positive ID verification. But basically, if you can lock up your social into an email address that you control already, the bad guys won't be able to do that against you. So that's probably a good thing to do proactively to make sure that you control your social and email linkage.
Yeah, that's interesting because a couple of years ago, I had someone file a tax return for me, and such a different use case. Whenever I file taxes, I have to pay money, and somehow they got a refund back. So, and I did have, I guess that was before the ID.me account. So, what he's saying is a couple of things. First, go to Experian, TransUnion, any of those credit card reporting services. Get your monthly report, not yearly like it used to be, but monthly. But also these services have the ability for free to freeze the account. Now, they have other terminology for other services where you can pay to have credit monitoring. Do not pay for credit monitoring. Although, if you've been involved in a breach, a lot of those companies will give you free credit monitoring as part of that breach. But safe to say, if you've had take them up on that offer because it's free. Anytime they ask you to input your own credit card data, do not do that because they are going to take money from you. There's all these services have to be free though. So freeze your credit unless you're about to buy something. What I do is I thaw it right before I get a new credit card, and then I go back and freeze it again. So don't forget to refreeze it after you thawed it. And then, like Dan said, go get that ID.me from the U.S. government website to lock your Social Security up, because another fraudulent act is being able to file someone's tax return for you on your behalf, and then they get the credit back. Well, look, if you've had a cell phone, if you've had a job across any carrier, chances are your data is in Dan's database there. And the bad guys are actively... we're from the government. We're here to protect you. My favorite phrase. All right, Dan, thanks for those tips.
Cheers.
And keep on being a brother and a solid brother and telling me when my database my head pops up in your lake. By the way, isn't everyone on the cloud? You're on the lake?
Lakes and clouds. It's all other people's computers.
Ah, I like that. I like the lake. Speaking of that note, I'm going to the lake.
There you go. Safe travels.
All right, guys, when superstar Beyoncé sang Drunken Love, she meant it. Beyoncé is diving into the whiskey game. She just announced her new whiskey brand, Sir Davis, on Instagram. The name is a tribute to her great-grandfather Davis and her son Sir, crafted with the help from master distiller Bill Lumsden and Moet Hennessy, okay? This American whiskey is already up for grabs at sirdavis.com for around $90 a bottle. I don't know how much whiskey costs because I don't really drink it, but I'm just saying. Looks like Queen Bee is adding Whiskey Mogul to her list of titles, and I'm trying to add Stock Mogul to my list of titles. The last time I looked at LVMH, it was down. So what I want to know from you, Greg, get your crystal ball out. Is now a good time to buy? Last year, Beyoncé single-handedly raised inflation in Sweden when fans from all over showed up for the kickoff of her Renaissance tour. So she sent prices of hotel rooms and restaurant meals, among other things, skyrocketing. And so this led to a bump in Sweden's inflation in May of last year. And we talked about that during a prior show. But what I want to know, Greg, is can Beyoncé have this kind of effect on the LVMH stock price? I don't know. Help me out, Greg. What do you think?
So Queen Bee is getting into the whiskey game. Okay, first, I've looked at the chart, and we'll just handle this. This company was up last year somewhere around 200. Now it's about 150. So it's kind of gone down. But you have to understand, just 3 years ago, it was at 100. So it went up 100% and it's came back down 50. It's still doing extremely well, okay? Just the economy is probably a little bit slowed out. Normal economic graph will show you when you look at normal goods, you know, the recession slows down, so on and so on. It's not essential. It's a luxury good. So when the economy is not doing good, luxury brands go down. Is the normal, although, you know, COVID and stuff, we were handing out money, so everybody was buying them, right? But now it's kind of petered off. I do think 150 is not the worst place. It has a great fundamentals. It's a very, expensive company. I mean, it's $375 billion market cap on it, and it offers a decent dividend yield. I think it's like almost 3%. So at this price. So you're getting a 3% dividend. Then you can sell calls against it also. I think it's a solid buy here. Just if you do, I would have some type of short call plan with it just to collect a few more percentage there on that dividend. I think you could probably bump it up to get the 2.8 normally and then grab another 3 or 4 easily percent on it and do very well with the company, even if it doesn't move. All right. With that being said, do I think Queen Bee is going to shoot this thing up? Yes and no. Do I think the liquor brand, Sir Davis, her whiskey brand, is going to be some great whiskey that just makes them a lot of money? The answer is no. It might make a lot of money to me and you, but this is a $375 billion company, and making $100 million here or there is nothing. Right? It's a fraction of a fraction. 1% is, $3.7 billion, right? And then we're not even talking about 10%. We are 3% of 1%. So, it's 0.0003. That's a lot of zeros before that decimal, right? Or after that decimal. So, is it really going to change it fundamentally? No. But I do not think Moet Hennessy was out there like, you know what we want? We want a Beyoncé whiskey. Wouldn't that be great? No, nobody wanted that whiskey. Okay. Nobody did. Beyonce might have wanted the whiskey. Right. And then they went ahead and talked to them. And then Monet was like, Beyonce is going to make a whiskey with us. They don't care what this whiskey is. It's marketing for them. So it could help greatly in that case. Last week, we talked about gold not being some flashy thing for the investors. Beyonce is flashy as it gets. So having something in their portfolio with her name on it associates her with them, which helps out everything. Helps out not just things like the whiskey line, but it also could cross over to some of the other brands, right? And that is where we're talking about, because it doesn't really matter if the product's good or not. It's got Beyonce's face on it, right? We're all going to buy, if you put water in there and then put a shots of, I don't know, what are the let's just say Kool-Aid, so I don't use a brand name. Just, I guess that is a cool brand name, but throw some Kool-Aid in it, shake it up real much, throw some liquor in it, and just say, hey, it's Beyonce. We all buy it because it's Beyonce, right? So I don't think it's going to affect the stock so much. I think interest rates changing is going to have a bigger change on the stock or anything like that, and how the economy is going to go. But yeah, it's good for her. She's going to make money off of it. It's Beyonce. I mean, can't lose money, right? Yeah, but like I said, they were after Beyonce, not after Beyonce's liquor.
Thank you, Greg. I can tell you're such a huge Beyonce fan. I bet you got a silver cowboy hat, don't you?
And what's her son's name, Georgia? What'd you say?
She has one named Sir, and one name, another one's named after a famous philosopher, I think.
Wow,
Anyway,
that's fancy.
maybe. I don't know.
All right. And you just named yours like Jared and just a basic name.
Named after excuse me, after Jared Gross, who was one of the founders of Texas. He was the richest man in Texas and part of the old 300.
All right.
Hello.
All right,
Anyway,
cool.
Go ahead.
All right, you at home, if you've got questions just like Radio Shack, remember them? We've got answers. Well, most of the time. Slide into our DMs on the socials at What's Next Wall Street, or you can email us, WNWShow@gmail.com. Our show grows from you. Please share it with your friends. It makes you look smarter because you're going to be dropping information into their brains that they had no idea what was going on behind the scenes with us.
It's true, actually. Sometimes I'll be having conversations and I'm like, ooh, I know. We just talked about that on What's Next Wall Street. Want to binge watch our episodes? Just search WNW Show on YouTube, or listen to the latest on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. You know what I've started doing, Dave? When I'm in Carline, I just start listening to our shows because, I don't know, it's interesting. I like to listen to the latest show, even though I'm here now. I'll just listen and see what we got right. And y'all would not believe, like 99% of the stuff we talk about is so early.
I hope so. Georgia, we are trained professionals.
No,
We've been doing this since 1997 together.
Yes, I know. But what I'm saying is a lot of the stuff we talk about is so early. You know, we're talking about stuff that people start talking about a week afterwards. And that's not a humble brag. It's just true. So there's that.
Well, look, if you're watching the YouTube show, you're going to see our telly from 2001 that Georgia and I won.
Look.
And then the Emmy from, what do you got? You got a telly? Look at that.
Let me see what year. Let's see. Telly. This is from 2004, bruh.
What show was that? Was that your?
This is us. This is, oh no, this is for TV1. Never mind.
TV1, yeah.
This is Georgia's the real talent. Oh, sorry.
I'm just the nerd. Georgia's the beautiful talent over here.
My bad.
Before you go, Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you're always in the loop on when fresh content drops. I'm Dave Mathews.
And I'm Georgia Alfredas. See you next time on What's Next Wall Street.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.